Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truther's Booth once again. It is your brother Truther Ngosa, and we're going to be looking at a video today by Lidlelo Show, and it's about Ollie Carter. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Ollie Carter. She has supposedly mentioned, allegedly, but I do believe that she's actually saying the truth, that she was a victim, a trafficked victim within the, hella weird industry and, the entertainment industry and whatnot. And so we're just gonna listen to part 1, 2, and 3. And in part 3, no, actually I think it's part 2, where she says that she's related to a supposedly related to a famous entertainer, famous artist that's supposedly passed away. Okay, now it's because what we know is that that individual is actually dead. Okay, but it just so happens that he may actually be alive. Okay. And one of the things that we know within the truth community is that sometimes they will make people look like they are dead when they're actually out there, alive. And when we're seeing somebody that either looks like them here, or they just make them disappear, right? They fake their death or whatever. So anyway, let's get into this.
One time he locked me in containers with his shipment of kids. There were kids in there that didn't speak English. There were kids that were sick.
Okay, I think she's talking about, if you've seen some of the other videos that she's posted, she's talking about her pimp. She had a pimp. I'm not sure if it's a Russian pimp or whichever one it is, but at some point she did have a pimp that was taking her around, and this is basically what she's referring to. But let's continue.
And that were already died. There were babies. There were babies that were 6 years old, and I'll never forget them just crying, and everybody was just staring at them. Everybody was just staring at each other. Nobody knew whether or not to move. I was freaked out. And I got up and I held her. And they opened the truck and they took her from me. Because they said she was already sick. And they killed her. Her name was Bailey. There are kids in there from Africa, from Mexico. We got to this spot right over the border. They went past these colorful houses. They turned down these dirt roads, and there was a bunch of trucks. And
child trafficking is a worldwide issue, guys. It's a worldwide problem, right? So I mean, it's sad. It's sad, and it's sad. Like, if you have never had that experience, or know somebody who has, if you've never lost somebody that just got disappeared, it's hard to relate. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, like, through this, people can get be reminded that these things are actually still going on. But let's move on.
they divvied everybody out like fucking retail. One person, she wouldn't stop crying. So they said that they would just send her off to somebody who was already sick, that had AIDS, that was gonna die soon, because she wouldn't shut up. My pimp smiled at me that whole time because I had straightened up my attitude. I begged for him to take me back. I begged for him to keep me. And I promised that I wouldn't tell the social workers again. I promised that I wouldn't say anything if he just took me with him. If I could go home.
Yeah, by the way, guys, I think we're gonna look at another video possibly if we have a chance, but she did mention in the other videos that there's some big names, including P. Diddy, that she remembers that she was involved with. Her pimp took her to one of them, Freakoffs or whatever you want to call them, and yeah, she remembers some stuff, some deep stuff about going to them tunnels and whatnot. But maybe she might speak about that in the videos. So let's just move on.
And he did. Me still being stupid, I tried to tell my social workers. I tried to tell them my boyfriend is 27 years old. He takes me to elite parties. He takes me to these things that I don't want to go to. And can you please help me? And they just documented him as a boyfriend.
The boyfriend was the pimp. The boyfriend was the pimp. And no, they didn't believe her. So they're just like she's saying, nobody believed that she was actually being trafficked. This is how crazy it is, people. Because a lot of these organizations are working for the very people that are doing the dirt. But moving forward.
My social worker told me that maybe I needed to just talk to him. Maybe if I just did something right, or if not, just break up with him, that it would be okay. Eventually, after going to elite orgies in Simi Valley, California, escort services, we got married. He proposed to me on a boat one night. And I was so angry because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with that. I was 15 years old, and I knew my adopted mom now. I knew her, and I was telling her I have a husband. And I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that he's not going to kill me. So I'm married. And I was okay with that.
So that was part one, and we're about to get into part two of this Ollie Carter expose. So let's get into it.
The second time I seen him was at his home in Las Vegas, Nevada. Everybody thinks he faked his death.
Okay, so I think here she's talking about Tupac. I'm not sure if there's another part to this video, but it seemed that these videos were sliced for whatever reason. But yeah, I think at this point she's referring to Tupac Shakur.
He's not dead. There was many things that happened, and he got set up for a little bit to still be able to live his life and still be in the public eye. He's still making music. He's still collabing with other artists to this day. But the second time that I seen him was at his home in Las Vegas. And there was another funeral. And then next time I seen him was during a time where somebody wasn't watching Little Tory. And there was a lot of things that were happening. Money exchanging hands, Social Security's being brought and sold, led to a fight, and it led to a man's body being mutilated. Nobody was watching Little Tory around that time. About what really happened. Who really seen it? I had to go to a very elite party in Hollywood, California. And guess who I met? It was really weird. At first, I thought I was tripping. But no. Around that time, Unthinkable with Alicia Keys came out. It was around the time that I seen him again. And he did a collab with Alicia Keys. And people thought that was just machines, and people have that power to just completely use that voice all over again. No.
Yeah, a lot of people were thinking, well, that was the idea, right? To make everybody think this was just machines, or somebody that was very good at mimicking Tupac's voice was being used to actually to make that music. But in reality, it seems that he's still alive, which that seems to be the case. Then he was the one actually making the music. So that would make a lot of sense, because it still sounded like him, right? It still sounded exactly like him. By moving forward,
sounded like he was right there, wasn't it? He is. And I'm sure now he won't be able to take this information getting out there, because when you fake your death, you really want to escape from the truth and all the secrets that you have. You escape from the fact that you may be a killer and a pedophile. You escape from the fact that when you sold your soul, you might have sold your child.
wow, it's crazy.
He's not dead. A lot of people have been lying to you. You don't live in the world you think you do.
I mean, he hasn't been spotted with us. I mean, my thing is, if that motherfucker, I mean, if he my man, so if he wanted people think that he's alive, then I'm gonna help him with that kind of shit. I've never seen him dead. I didn't go to no funeral. We didn't parade his body around the streets like everybody else. Like, I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I really don't, I don't pay no attention to that shit. You probably do be seeing him, but his plan is working to fucking perfection. Nobody's gonna believe that's him after all this time. Everybody is gonna be paying attention to whatever they're paying attention to. You can say I saw Tupac at Walmart, and everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, or it was a lookalike.
If you think about it, right?
Right.
Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they didn't want to kill Tupac?
Because they're snitching to the police, so they ain't
Not
gonna get
just to
arrested.
snitch and be smart, son. Because Tupac not
I ain't as smart
dead.
as you should be.
Tupac not dead. If he was dead, they'd be arresting those dudes for murder. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on the island somewhere. His code name was Machiavelli, like mine is Simon. And if you know the story of Machiavelli, he faked his own death. But the same.
And I think they'll go with for even other people that you think are dead, supposedly were nailed on, and they supposedly choked to death, hint, hint. Those people, those kind of people might be in the tunnels, hiding, where everybody thinks they're dead. But this is, I mean, with all this stuff about the tunnels, okay, the underground cities. Now you begin to actually believe, yeah, if there's underground cities, which we've been hearing about that for a long time, for a while. So yeah, it's absolutely possible that he would fake his death. And some people might say, well, then whose body was it that was taken, into the morgue? I don't know. Maybe they paid somebody, and we have no idea. All right, but it's very, I mean, very possible that she saw him. Okay. But the only sad part is that he's still part of the system, because like she said, she sold your soul and you sold your child, and you're still getting down with the elites. So it sounds more like a sellout, than somebody that did it to get away. That did it to get away from the system, but the system still controls him. So, but anyway, moving forward.
Same time, they want to put Pac back in prison. If Pac would fake his own death and disappear before he go back to prison.
And what really happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the MGM Grand, was just another false flag that played out very, very well. And people bowed down, and people really worshipped what happened because they thought that their idol was taken, and it wasn't right.
So many false flags out there, so this couldn't be far-fetched that he is still out there.
So of course, everybody really believes what happened at the MGM Grand happened. But what people don't know is that the MGM Grand is also well known for human trafficking, drug smuggling, organ harvesting, not to mention the other things that they get away with trafficking throughout the casino. Whether it comes for their own restaurants, whether it's something for their own casino. MGM Grand is one of the biggest casinos that are well known for the things that have happened. It's just everybody looks it over because it's Las Vegas.
Yeah, so she's insinuating that he was trafficked. So he disappears, and then there's a double to fake his death or whatever. Yeah, makes sense.
Nobody questions it. Nobody digs too deep into it. But that was the false flag. That was supposedly what happened, right? He was shot in the car in front of the MGM Grand. I always started digging and seeing where things led and who I really was and what was really going on, because things didn't make sense to me. Everybody kept my baby picture from me. Nobody wanted to show me my birth certificate. People kept things from me like it was a huge secret. People treated me different. And I have one baby picture. Just one that we found. They told me at St. Bernardine's Hospital in San Bernardino, California, that the reason why my father wasn't on the birth certificate was because there was shift change. And that the nurse had to sign for me because it was shift change. St. Bernardine's, when I went back a few years ago, I asked them for the paperwork, and the nurse started crying when she went back into the inventory and saw my last name. She came out and she was crying and shaking, and I was already saying she was so sorry, and she didn't even tell me what happened yet. And I'm like, why are you crying? What is really going on. And so I was like, maybe I don't want to know the truth. And I don't have any baby pictures of me. I don't know what I would look like as a kid. I can't have kids myself because of everything that has happened. And then the kid that is probably out there of mine. So
it's a wicked game, this industry thing. So, you know, the father, you know, gave her up or had her in the industry, and then she became an industry call girl, you know, and she also had a child, and that was taken from her, who was somewhere in the industry. It's a mess. It's a generational curse is what they call it. It's pretty sad, and you can see that, you know, she does look alike. If you look at Tupac and you look at her facial features, there's some very similar facial features there. But moving forward,
a long story. And I had no choice. And if I did have a choice, I'd be the best damn mom that I could be, but I don't have a choice. But we found one baby picture. Just one. And I think everybody has already seen it. So I'm asking and I'm trying to connect those dots. And I noticed that the outlaws are very strong. They're very strong in what they do. They're weak. Pussies. They're weak. They get away with thugging and taking people and calling shots and playing God all the time. And I was supposed to be that person. I was supposed to grow up and be that person, and everybody used to be scared of me for that reason, because I was one of those shot callers when I was really young. And the outlaws are known for that. Tupac is an outlaw. Tupac is an outlaw. Tupac is Tupac is Hussein is my blood. I don't know the absolute truth.
okay, so she says Tupac is her blood. I'm just gonna move this over so we can see. I think she's the one on the right.
I don't know the absolute truth, the complete truth, but from the pieces that I put together,
So that's the end of part 2, and we're just gonna get into part 3 real quick. But basically she was saying that she is Tupac's blood, basically insinuating that that's her father. But I think she, in part 3, she's gonna get into the San Bernardine a hospital, if I'm not mistaken. So let's get into it.
I went into mental hospitals I was in solitary confinement because I fought back so hard, because I started seeing the corruptness in the mental hospitals, and that became my fault too. She was in the hospital when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was going to Boniol Elementary in San Bernardino, California. I also went to Del Rosa Elementary in San Bernardino, California. But at the time that I was going to Boniol, she was put into Patton, the hospital for the criminally insane. I don't know why. And I don't remember. I remember some of it, but I don't remember a lot of it. But I had to go on visitation to Patton. Boniol Elementary sits on the same street, right next door, pretty much, to Patton Hospital. And I would have to go visit her. And when I visited her, weird things happened. They would put me on a table.
I'm not sure who she's talking about, but there's bits and pieces cut off from the videos. But yeah, let's move forward and hear what she has to say. It might be someone that she knows personally. I don't know.
And play that clown game with me. You know how you try to stab your hands and not miss with a knife? They would put me on a table and they would put food around me and they would stab at me. I remember that. I was 15 in the 10th grade. By the time I went into Child Protective Services, first I went to Riverside ETS and Chino Hills Mental Hospital. I was in Chino Hills for a month in a psych ward. The nurses there in the psych ward had a system, and they knew that everybody was on medication so they could get away with things like sexual abuse, pictures, writing fake things in the chart but discussing it over someone's bed. And because they thought you were high and drugged, they didn't think you'd remember. But I wasn't supposed to be on medication. I was given medication, but I wasn't supposed to be on it. There was no reason.
Those child protective services in the US are just, oh man, just they leave me speechless, these organizations. But that's just another day in this matrix that we live in.
And one night I was awake when two nurses came in the room, and my roommate had sliced her arm. She sliced it from here down. And they used to always have to change her bandages because she would try to reopen them at night. And I never understood why. She would scream and she would try to reopen them. I'd wake up in pain and I didn't know why. And then one day I didn't take my medicine. And the nurses came in our room and they were talking over our bed about changing the charts. About nobody would believe the kids because they're already crazy. They took pictures after they took her clothes off. And when they came to my bed, I started fighting. They threw me in solitary confinement for a week. I wanted to die. I remember the social worker coming out and telling me that they were going to send me back to my biological mother. And I remember telling them that if whatever happens, just know that I'm coming back in a body bag. Because I know that somebody is going to get a hold of me, and nobody wanted me to tell the truth. So they put me in foster care.
And that's it for part 3 of the Ali Carter expose. And I'll be sure to put the link in the description section to the Laylo show where you can find all the videos. But thanks for watching. Until next time, keep it 100.